Hello, my name is Mimi and I'm a violinist. If you're new to this channel, then I suggest you go to my Paganini Caprice playlist because that's the project which I'm kind of going to recap on in this video and share my thoughts and reflections about it because now it's finally finished, which I'm really, really excited and happy about. This video will be pretty candid. I'm not used to speaking to a camera yet. If you've followed along with some of the videos, you'll know that I really stick to captions and voiceovers at most. I think I only spoke into the camera once, maybe twice, in the past 24 weeks. So this is definitely new for me, and I'm going to try my best, but I figured it's much nicer than trying to read a script that I've meticulously typed out, pages and pages. I want to be able to talk directly to you, so I'll just put my best foot forward. So yeah, the Caprice project is finally over. I actually can't believe it in a way, and I am at the same time so happy that it's done because it was pretty grueling, as exciting and fun and all of that it was. I was pretty overwhelmed at some times and pretty tired. A lot has happened in those 24 weeks. It's like everything always wants to happen at once. I decided to leave my job. It was the first job that I ever had. I won an audition during my master's studies, and I was associate concertmaster there for about 3 years. That was such a great place for my first job. I'm really grateful to all of my colleagues. They made the experience so nice. I learned so much from them. I think I've said this before actually, but I just can't re-articulate it enough that I've grown so much during those years because of the people that I was around. And it was just, I'll miss them a lot. And yet it was time to move on, to explore some different paths I was interested in. So that's kind of why I left. And before leaving, I did play a series of concerts in the Netherlands, during which I played Lark Ascending, and I led Beethoven's Third Symphony Eroica. So that was also really, really fun. It was very busy. And then I moved out of my apartment, packed up, and flew over to Los Angeles, which is where I will be now for at least a year. We'll see. Until my future plans are a bit more solidified. So that's kind of what's up. And yes, so during all of that, I was trying my best to not let go of the Caprice project, because when I started, some people were like, you should just, take it easy, don't push too hard, like you don't need to do it in 24 weeks, you can, do whenever you want. And I was just thinking, it's something I promised myself in the beginning, that I've always had difficulty starting and finishing a project. So I don't know if anyone can relate, but for me, this was a big milestone. I was really adamant that I would, just get through it, start something, finish it. And that's kind of why it was so, I went really hard for this goal. And I'm really glad I did. I learned a lot on the way, which is kind of what I'll be talking about in this video. Also, to answer some questions I've gotten, like, which one was the hardest Caprice? And, what were some techniques that are unique to Paganini? So I'll kind of try to cover those things as well. If I'm looking down, I have some notes down here, so just to collect my thoughts a bit. Yeah, so I've always been really intensely camera shy. I don't know why, it's always been like that, and that it doesn't stop just at cameras or pictures. It's like videos and also recordings, audio recordings. Those things I've always felt very tense around those things. So this project was, in that sense, a really huge, huge goal and a leap forward, because it's definitely, the more you do something, even if it's uncomfortable, it'll eventually become more comfortable, you'll adjust. And I'm glad to say that's kind of what happened. So I'm at the point where I'm talking to this camera and I still feel extremely, extremely awkward, but it's a lot better. I would never have had the courage to do it before. So there's that. Let's see. I'm just kind of pulling random points off and thinking of what to talk about. I'd say that while this project was happening, I did jot down some certain things that I knew I wanted to talk about at the end, because I thought at that moment when I was writing them down how important these things were. So for instance, the idea of learning and memorization. So those are both skills which not only can be improved on, but need to be maintained, and you have to use them. You have to keep learning so that you learn better. You have to keep memorization techniques, and you have to try memorizing things and keep doing that in order for your memory to be pretty solid and to get used to that as well. And those things require maintenance. So you have to keep doing them in order to maintain them at a certain level that you want them to be at. I realized that when I was studying my bachelor's and before that, and partly my master's as well, memorization was never an issue for me. Like I would never really have memory slips or have those moments of doubt while playing related to memory. For sure, doubts about many other things, but memory wasn't really a problem. Until 2 years ago, I competed in the Sendai International competition, and for the first time in my life, I totally blanked. I think not just once or twice, maybe even 3-4 times. I don't know. It was horrible. It was really embarrassing and tragic because I was so shocked. I was so shocked that it was happening. I didn't know how to deal with it. I just remember being like, oops, and I just kept trying to go on, but it was definitely not. That was really not the way I thought it would go, and I'm not so sure it had to do with the amount of preparation I put in as much as at that moment I was in my trial for my job, and that meant I was, for a full-time symphonic job, you're basically learning new rep every week, and that's a full symphonic rep. So, you have your overture, usually some sort of concerto, and then you have a symphony. And yeah, that just recycles every week, and you have new music coming in, you process it really fast, and you play concerts, you rehearse it, and then it's out. The next set of rep comes in and you learn it. So, and also you're always staring at your music. There's always music available. You don't need to really memorize anymore. And it was brought to my attention at that competition that my brain had gotten used to expecting there to be music. And that's kind of what led to the memory slip. I never even considered that could happen. But of course I learned it can. So this Caprice project, what was really interesting is going in, I think memory was the number one stressor for me, because I was thinking my goal is to not have it perfect by any means, even under tempo, fine, but I really wanted to try to memorize these Caprices, at least to have them in my system. So, yeah, that was definitely a surprise, that as I started this project, I was really afraid. And that was the thing I was most insecure about, because that left a really large mark on me, those memory slips on stage at an international competition. I was like, oh my gosh, it's mortifying. And then I realized that a few Caprices later, so a few weeks into it, it was becoming so much easier, not just to learn, because I could learn quickly. That was never really too much the issue, but to really trust that I actually had it in my mind, in my memory. I slowly started to be able to trust myself again. Also because I realized it felt like a muscle that was just starting to be used. That I remember even getting a headache first couple weeks, because I wasn't used to this kind of concentration that you need to memorize things. So basically, memorization and learning, those those skills I really was able to explore during this project. And I'm really glad because I do feel a huge noticeable improvement. And I almost feel like I'm back to my bachelor days when I was like going, like really learning and memorizing so much new stuff for 4 years. So I've learned a valuable lesson, and I hope that this is useful to you. If you're ever insecure about your memory, or you feel you're not learning fast enough, or things like that, it's okay. It's You just have to practice it like anything else. If you just keep trying, if you keep doing it, and you keep looking for more efficient ways to really understand yourself, and just to know what's the most efficient way for yourself. How do you learn best? How do you memorize best? And eventually it'll just get faster, it'll become more reliable, more consistent. And yeah, that's a huge bonus of this project, which I took away, and I'm so really grateful that I even went through it in the first place. I'm getting really nervous. Like probably you can tell when I'm talking. But I'll just keep on trying to go on. Something else that I think is really great, if you're on the fence about doing something, but you feel you're not good enough to do it, or you're not ready for it. There are moments where you have to pause and be like, okay, are there some steps I should do before trying to attempt what I want to do, like technique wise, for instance. That's of course something really good to think about, but in general, I would say that most people, including myself, we hold ourselves back by not taking the initiative really and just going for what we want to try, because it seems really daunting, because it seems like it's a crazy idea. Why would you do it? You get a lot more of that than you would someone being like, oh yeah, that's not so bad, just try. But the attitude or perspective towards this project, it has gone through some sort of an evolution where I've noticed I understood for so many years I've actually held myself back because I didn't do things like this before. Just to go for it. Just try. Put yourself out there and record it. It doesn't have to be perfect. If people don't like it, it's okay. It's for yourself. And if by chance someone likes it, that's great, because then you're able to, share a little bit of what you're up to. And I love seeing what other people are up to because you get more ideas. You can try them out. It's not necessarily about copying or being unoriginal. So yeah, I would really encourage to have personal musical goals and set the bar pretty high, but learn to balance, the way that you perceive situations, so that you aren't stressing yourself out too much, but you're open to really learning from each experience that you set out upon. And yeah, I kind of wish I'd have just done this earlier when I was studying still. Why didn't I do it? I was almost like a sitting duck, kind of waiting for teachers to tell me what to do, what to play, how quickly to learn it. And I think that's such a pity, because if I was a bit more aware that I could have been more self-driven somehow, then or to follow my curiosity, or even be curious, that's also a thing. Well, there's no point in regretting things, but I really encourage that if you are on the fence, please just go for it, because there's nothing bad that can happen. It's just you and your instrument, you and music, you and yourself, and eventually you and people when you're trying to communicate your music to them. So I think all of that is just a really joyous process. So yeah. Something I do wish I should mention, I think halfway through, so from Caprice number 11, yeah, I started doing these really blurry zoom-ins. So I didn't actually put the camera up close. I tried to put the camera far and then zoom it in this random editing software afterwards. It was really blurry. You could see my fingers up close. I wish I did that from Caprice 1, because I think that was actually the point where people started to find it more, really useful even, or interesting. So there's that. I eventually figured out I could just move the camera in and, get a tripod that's really high, have a bird's eye view kind of the fingers. That was also much better. And then it wasn't until Caprice number 14, I think, that I finally included, like, the idea struck me at that point to include little snippets of the score, like just right up here, and with the close-up of what I'm playing. And of course, that's much more useful because you can actually follow along what's happening. What am I playing? You can see it. So that is something I wish I did earlier, but it really didn't occur to me. So in the future, I do plan on, for any of these kind of process videos, I do plan on trying to, like, show the zoom in and also include the score. I really hope that that'll continue to be as interesting and useful as it seems it has been. And that also kind of leads me to what I'm planning to do on this channel in the future. So I have a few ideas. I organize it in terms of playlists. So there's this Caprice project, which is in its own playlist. I'm thinking about, there could be a complete Bach sonatas partitas playlist with the progress, and run-throughs with that. There could be the Isai complete sonatas. I was also thinking about like learning some concertos or relearning concertos I haven't learned and really like documenting that very clearly. And those would be kind of like, the process, progress, learning playlists. And then there was this other idea, which there are some concerts I'm kind of contracted to play soon. So with those kind of things, I also wanted to kind of document that process and include like snippets, if I'm allowed to, of the final concert, the product at the end. I just thought that'd be really fun because, it's also, for me, it's in a way a digital diary, right? It's really been cool to be able to watch and listen to my old recordings, even if they were just a week or two old or even the previous night. So much can be changed just from listening to yourself. So I think that would be really interesting. So I don't know what it would be called. Like, I have the Lark Ascending video, which I'm trying to assemble now. I'm not really sure how to go about it yet. I have all the footage. So yeah, I'll figure that out. And hopefully, that can be its own little series on its own. In October, I'm probably going to play the 3 Bach concertos, the A minor, the E major, and the Bach double, as well as the Beethoven concerto. So, like, that would be a great time for me to, document the process from now, preparing till the final end result. And I think that would be also fun. So please let me know what you think about these ideas. If you have any special requests or ideas that you think are worth me trying for, just let me know in the comments, because I'm so excited to make content that's also very interesting for you and hopefully in some sense also helpful or motivational, because I think all of us can use that when we're alone practicing in a room for hours and hours. So yeah, I'll just be waiting to see if anyone has any suggestions. Until then, I'll be working on the Lark Ascending video and trying to make that kind of decent. Right. I was asked which caprices were the most difficult. So I thought it would be pretty fun I have my iPad right here in front of me. I'll just kind of like sift through each one and quickly just recap what I thought. It won't take too long, but if you want, you can of course skip this part. So Caprice number 1, I'm looking at it now. The bowing, it just took a little bit of getting used to, but in general, it was really not as hard. It's just very flashy, and it's definitely not the hardest. Caprice number 2 is one of my favorites. It's so lyrical, it's really beautiful. And to get to the point where you're comfortable enough with the string crossings that they're not part of any problem, technically speaking. It's such a joy to play and to phrase with and things like that. Number 3 gave me some memory problems a bit in the presto section, because it's just like it feels like, you know, I had to warm around a lot, and I was like, where am I going? So that took some just very repetitive, classic repetitive practice. The octaves in the beginning were really a pain, I'll say. Like the like being octaves up on the D and G string really bother me still. I get, because I don't play with a shoulder rest. I play with no sponge. I play completely on my collarbone, and the violin rests in my hand. So it can get really tired easily if I'm not in really good shape, and my hand isn't strong enough for that. I remember getting sore the next day for this, the double trills, the octave trills, I mean. Number 4 is definitely stamina-wise the most draining, I think, alongside number 12. Number 12, I haven't really ever heard anyone play it. I think there's a reason for it. But it's really hard. I think I totally underestimated it. But it's really difficult. So if you're up for a real challenge, go for number 12, because yeah, I found that just really difficult to make it sound nice-ish, you know, decent, because it can so easily sound like an ambulance that's going off course nonstop for a couple minutes. So yeah, there's that. Of course, number 5, the original bowing, right? When I first started that, I felt like, I don't know, this, like, you know, tapping your head, rubbing your tummy, or, you know, switching directions or whatever. That weird, disjointed and confused feeling. I needed a few days to adjust to that. But then once it was there, it kind of clicked, and then it was okay. I never really got it up to tempo, like, not nearly close to it. I remember playing it pretty slow in the final run through. Or, yeah, I'm not remembering it quite well, but it's something that if I wanted to pick up at this point and really try, I think it wouldn't be as difficult as it was back then. Number 6, yeah, the trills, the double stops and the trills, the octave trills and stretching, that wasn't too bad either. But if you're not in shape, it's gonna make you a little sore if you push it too hard. I love the opening of number 7, and this was the first Caprice I dreaded playing in this series, because it had uppo staccato, and I never in my life had proper uppo staccato or anything resembling it. So I was really anxious about how I would go, because I've tried. It's not for lack of trying that I couldn't play it. It's just because it was something was just not clicking. Maybe I was too tense or something. So out of this project, I was able to learn uppo staccato, which I'm so happy about. It's not good uppo staccato, but it is there, kind of. So I can maybe do more with it as time goes on. But yeah, number 7 was like a personal milestone because of that I was able to pull through and kind of, you know, butcher my way through this. And it was great that I didn't have to play it separate and pretend to play it uppo staccato. Number 8 brings back really bad memories, because I played it in, I chose this as one of the 3 Caprices to play in Queen Elizabeth competition a long time ago. It was such a mistake because I don't even know why I picked it. It definitely was the weakest one, and of course they chose that one, and I was like, I don't know. And yeah, that didn't go so well. But so to revisit it, I was just like, oh, it was still easier this time around, because back then I was really struggling with my setup at the same time. So now my setup is okay, and so that went okay. Number 9, it's not so bad. It's really, a lot of people play it. Number 10 as well. It's actually not that bad. It's also very popular, as well as number 11, which is, it gets kind of squirrely up here in the, in the presto section. So yeah, there are only like a few spots which, you know, can really show if you practiced the right parts and paid attention to those parts. But otherwise, it's not too bad. Number 12 is horribly hard. So please, anyone, if you're up to it, you can try it out and let me know if I'm just a wimp and I can't stretch enough or something. But that was really difficult. for me. Number 13, also very popular. 14 as well. I think those are seen sometimes as like the beginner caprices along with number 20. 15, I love the opening, it's so beautiful. And then it's also, I love the little playful bit 3 lines in where it starts to go, it's really cute. It goes very high though, so you kind of like had to squish my fingers really well. Followed by some up-bow staccato, which I remember when I was younger, I played through the first page, and when I got to staccato, I just stopped it. I mean, it was just for fun. I would read, and I just like give up by the time I got to that page. But now I was able to play through it, so I'm glad I learned that. It's not too difficult. 16, also not too difficult. Definitely one of those favorites that I think a lot of people start with somehow when they go into the caprices. Number 17, the famous, infamous octaves, the fingered octaves. Somehow they weren't so bad. I remember just finding them so painful when I was younger, and now they were totally fine. And I mean, I played around with it when I was younger. Never studied it properly, but this was a lot of fun because I was like, oh, it's not that hard anymore, and it felt so good just to kind of like go for it. Number 18 was the weird one where I read about the scordatura tuning that Paganini apparently used to tune all of strings like according to the key he was playing in, and it would be minor changes, but just to fit the key. And I tried that with that video, and that was a really interesting experiment. So I tuned down the E string like quite low. If you played the A and the E together, it sounds super strange. But that was a very interesting experiment. I played so out of tune that whole video, even to the end. I was like, oh my gosh. But it was totally worth trying, and if I ever go back to it, I'll know what to do. Number 19, the minor section really caught me off guard because I forgot that, like having to shift so fast up. I really sucked at it when I first started this Caprice because, yeah, without a shoulder rest, it's all in the hand, and to really like come back down fast enough, you have to make sure you're not pressing too hard. And I was like definitely pressing a little harder than I should have been from tension, being nervous. Number 20 is also really popular. That one was okay. There's a reason why I think it's popular, because it's easy on the ears and it's also not too hard. Number 21 number 21 is lovely. It's so operatic, and I think this is one of those moments where you can really hear Paganini just like singing, and what he heard in his head is just so, yeah, I really enjoyed playing this. It was so easy to learn because I connected with it so quickly, so that was nice. Except it came with another up-bow staccato part, the presto, in the second half, which again wasn't the best, but I'm glad I tried it. 22 felt really awkward. I don't know if it was so much as... I mean, parts of it were difficult, going from the thirds to tenths, and crossing the strings and being up high, and yeah, a lot of jumps. There were a lot of shifts in it, and just jumps. So you're going from here to here suddenly, and you're like, that better be at the right place. So that was a little challenging. Number 23, at this point, I think it was just during the project that I was doing with the Lark Ascending. So at this point, I think I did this one really quick because I was so busy. And I just remember, there were some bloopers I didn't release yet, but it's just, I was so tired, and I was trying to do the beginning where you have a lot of octaves and like you're basically doing like this little glissando octave technique that I kept landing on the wrong note at the end. Every run, I'd be like, where do I end on this one? Like, there's on a C, on a B flat, on a C flat, and I just remember like laughing my head off for part of it because I was so gone, tired, done with my day. I was just trying to crank this one out, but it wasn't too bad. I'd say it's not that long. There's just a da capo thing at the end. And lastly, number 24. This is one that I've played before for sure, and I think it's so famous. Everyone loves the little tune. And of course, you hear other instruments having adapted it, like Rachmaninoff and piano, amongst many other versions. And that one's not too difficult. So, I mean, these are all. I'm speaking about difficulty from a technical standpoint, from also a personal opinion. So it could be very different for you. Um, but at the end of the day, I do think number 4 is the most difficult for stamina issues. And number 12, it's just, I don't know why. I have to say that one's the most difficult. To make it sound nice and not just like an ambulance, and also to actually play it in tune and not strain my hand. That I just remember that. So, I don't know. I wonder what you think are the hardest caprices. If you would like to share, you can always comment it down below. Um, but that's kind of it. Oh wait, no. There was also one more request from someone about what were some techniques that I found in the Caprices that are very uniquely Paganini. The thing is, I don't know. I wouldn't say I've comprehensively studied other composers, like Wieniawski. I've played some of the stuff, not all of it. But at the same time, having played the 24 Caprices, I can say that Paganini really loved uppo staccato. He loved huge stretches, lots of jumps, like big jumps. He loved the thirds, the octaves, tenths, and fingered octaves. And yeah, like this thing where we're like, oh, double octave trills. When you have an octave, fingered octave, and another one, you have to kind of like trill them. That was something I think that I remember thinking about. Only really seeing in Paganini. I don't know, maybe Wieniawski has it too a bit, but he uses it like quite more often than I've seen anywhere else. But for the most part, I think that's it. Yeah. Of course, bowing techniques, he definitely loves to do what people consider, quote, impossible. Of course, it's really possible nowadays, right? Technique has improved so much. There are little tiny children being able to rip their way through Caprice 5 with original bowing. I'm like, whoa. But it's definitely it was special, I think, back then. He really brought those things to the stage and dazzled people with all of these techniques that I mentioned. That people, and he would do it in a way, I think, most importantly, in a way which made it seem so magical, so spontaneous, so explosively creative. And that, I think, is what makes Paganini's music. The spirit of the way he approached all of it. So not as I did, for instance, in this experiment, which is really just, trying to crawl my way through it and just barely manage. But to get past that point, and of course you spend more time with it, and comes a point you're so comfortable with it, you just start to the sparks start to fly. I think at that point, that's the essence of Paganini, that you start to draw out of all of the technical things. For sure, I didn't get anywhere near that with this project, but I have now a better insight into what it could become, right? And not just being told how to play something and not knowing why, but really understanding what kind of spirit lies underneath all of this mountain of technique that's required to pull it off. So, yeah, I hope that kind of answers some of the questions. And I think that's it. Did I? Yeah, I think I mentioned in the beginning of this video. I've already forgotten, but now I'll include at the end of this video a little surprise piece, and I think maybe some of you will know what it is. It is definitely related to Paganini, and it'll be very casual. It'll just be a read through with the music. Probably I'll stop and make some commentary about it. But yeah, I can't believe it's over. And I've rambled on now for so long. I feel almost bad. But I had a lot of fun filming this video. I feel so much more relaxed at this point now that it's been as long as it has been. But thank you so much for watching, and for those of you who have shown your support. I'm really grateful, because it is so scary to put myself out there and my music and my playing. I think it is for most people. So the fact that I've gotten this kind of support, I'm just so grateful. And I look forward to creating more videos in the future, which will hopefully show, something that's helpful for you and also motivational when you're feeling down and alone, when you're practicing all by yourself, hours and hours and hours, like a good musician. Yeah, I think that's it. So here we are at the end of this video, and as I've promised, I'm going to play a little piece. It's called Paganiniana by Nathan Milstein, and it's a really nice showpiece that he kind of based off of the 24th Caprice theme. So I've played this before, but it's been a while. It's been a few years. So I don't really know what to expect. I'll just give it a go, and I'll just casually read through it. Yeah, so please don't be too harsh. I just kind of warmed up today. So let's see how it goes. And thank you for watching to this point. I hope to see you in the future videos. Whoops. All right. Well, that was it, and I don't think I'm going to. That was so fun. That was really fun. I don't think I'm going to really, practice this and make it better. As of right now, maybe this piece will pop back up sometime in the future. But for now, this is it. So I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, see you next time.